Hi, my loves. Welcome back to another episode of 100% Lavish. Today, we are going to just be talking about the feelings that I've been recently feeling. Okay, so y'all, I've been noticing that recently with me unlocking flow state, I've noticed that there are different levels to the flow state. So, what do you mean by that? What I mean by that is what I'm saying is there are different levels to this shit because you'll have some days where they're more confirmation days, more like direct reflections of what it is that you're doing. Then you have other days where it's just kind of like you just know to show up and do what it is that you need to do, and you're still craving that kind of like stimulation. And then you also have those days where you've done everything that you need to do, but it's like not as much as the other days before, if that makes sense. Like, I'm realizing that some days are more productive than other days. Some days are just chill, reflective days. Some days you have days where, you just get more shit done. Like, I've noticed that, recently, I've been having some days where, confirmations come back to back. Like, I'm constantly seeing a lot of angel numbers. I'm constantly seeing, a lot of videos that align with exactly what I'm feeling in the moment. I see a lot of, even in the nature, I can just see and sense a reflection within myself within that. But then you also have some days where you're not even giving back a reflection. You're just kind of living in that state, and you have to be so knowing within yourself that you know that you're doing everything right, that you just accept the calm. Because sometimes I feel like I'm bored, when in reality it's not that I'm bored. It's just I'm finally at peace. And because a person like me, I'm so used to chaotic peace. I'm so used to just something always happening, to the point where when nothing happens, it's like this boredom feeling in me that I feel like I need stimulation, when in reality it's not that I need stimulation. It's just I'm sitting with myself. And sometimes when you're sitting with yourself, sometimes it does just feel like silence, stagnation, and boredom, when in reality you're not bored, you're not stagnant, you're not none of those. You're just sitting with the self, and you're finally feeling what it feels like to be at peace and at ease with the flow state. And I feel like that is something that's not often talked about. I feel like when people talk about entering flow state, they talk about all the confirmations you're going to see. They talk about all the things that you're going to notice. When a lot of the things that I've noticed, especially within my journey, is that oftentimes when I'm doing the correct thing, I don't feel anything at all. Sometimes I will not hear God's voice. Sometimes I will not feel my guardians. Sometimes I will not feel my angels. And that makes me feel like I'm doing something wrong. When in reality, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing everything right. And you are exactly where you need to be right now. It's just that once you have unlocked a certain level within yourself, your body has such a trust level with yourself, and so does your guardians and your gods and your angels. They already know that you're going to do what it is that you need to do, so they fall back just to see what you're going to do, even though they know deep down you're going to do what you got to do, and deep down you know that you were going to do what you have to do. So it's no longer like a forced feeling. It's not like, oh my God, I have to get this done today, and if I don't get this done today, I'm not going to feel accomplished. Of course, use your discernment, and as well as use your discipline, because some things you do have to apply things to. But there's a lot of times you're going to realize when you fall back and you just let yourself do what it is that you need to do, you were going to do it naturally. Like, I feel like the more that I force content, the more that I force things, the more that I force for shit to work, it did not work in my favor. It really didn't. It showed me why I should have just relaxed in the first place and just surrendered. And I feel like I'm recently at a point in my life where I have officially hit a certain surrender state, to the point where some days feel less movement than others. But that's exactly why I make messages like this, to remind people that even those little steps that you took made a big progress in your life, and your higher self currently thanks you for the current version of you. One more time, let me say it again. Your higher self currently thanks the current version of you, because without the current version of you, the future you wouldn't exist. So I think we need to take time to give ourselves more gratitude and appreciation towards the things that we do, because at the end of the day, it is very hard to be a human. It is very hard to show up every day and live every day with whatever life throws at you, because sometimes it's not something that you wanted. Sometimes it's not what you expected. Sometimes it be things that you like, what the hell and why the fuck would you choose me? But sometimes it's not even a why. Once you change your perspective and you start realizing why me, instead of, you go from the why me mindset and you go into the this happened for a reason, you start to realize that your life starts to just go, because you no longer are upset with whatever life throws at you. Like, I will say that life is not something that is going to be peaches and cream all the time. And if you jumped into the spiritual world thinking that it was going to be peaches and cream, welcome to the ride, because you're in for a long one. I'm not going to lie. You need to realize that in life, nothing is going to be perfect. And that's exactly why when you show up in a way that you know is non-perfect, you get better results. When you show up in a way that you do it scared, you do it nervous, you do it mad, you do it sad. When you do those things, you're showing the world that you are capable of pushing through whatever it throws at you. So it rewards you for those things. And you start to realize that you feel better once you face your fears. Because oftentimes we have fears based off the limitations that we put on ourselves, based off of what other people projected on us. You have to realize you are your own person. You are your own soul. So because of that, what somebody else tells you is not your truth, and it might not always be your truth. Some things do align with you. And of course, like I said, use your discernment. But like a lot of things you'll realize are often projections. Sometimes people will tell you you can't do something because they're not capable of doing it. And because they're not capable of doing it and they have never seen it firsthand, they put that same limitation on you when in reality, that's nothing to do with you. So you have to start realizing that you have to start going with what is thrown at you. You have to start going with whatever life it is, because honestly, that's all you can do. Because when you wake up, you still have that same situation that you're trying to avoid. When you can smoke all you want to, you can drink all you want to, you can do whatever it is that you need to do to feel like you need to cope. But I promise you, you're going to realize in the end that you were going to have to face these things regardless. And it's not an easy process to face things either. Sometimes it's hard to confront something that you're running from, but I promise you, once you confront it, you start to realize, damn, why was I even scared anyways? Because once you face your fear, you really start to realize that there was nothing really scary about it. And sometimes we often confuse the feeling of us being scared with the feeling of our body being overly excited for something. Sometimes we think that we're nervous for something when in reality we're overly excited. Those feelings feel the same. Like those feelings feel very similar. It's kind of like when you drop on a roller coaster, you know what I'm saying? Like those are feelings that you feel similar. Just like when your heart drops, it's kind of like the same feeling of when you're on that roller coaster and you hit that drop. You know what I'm saying? It's the same kind of feeling. It's just sometimes our brain cannot tell you what part was really triggered, but your body feels it. And that's exactly why sometimes we get overwhelmed with the emotions, because we panic because our brain is trying to figure out what it is that we're feeling, when in reality there's no real way to put any feeling when it comes to something like that. It's just a feeling that you feel, but your brain tries to map it out as something bad sometimes, or it tries to map it out as something familiar. Oftentimes you'll realize that your brain maps things to something familiar so that it makes more sense, because the brain just wants things to make sense. We all just want to be understood, and we all just want things to make sense, because when things make sense, it feels easier on the conscious. But you're going to realize that when it comes to this journey, a lot of things aren't going to make sense. The magical things that happen to you are not going to make sense. They are not going to be explained, and not everybody's going to understand your process, but that's exactly why it is your journey. And you start to realize that you are exactly where you need to be. You will be faced with feelings. You will be faced with different things. You will be faced with trials and tribulations, but you will be faced with trials and tribulations. Things will be tributed to you. Things will be given to you, and things will be granted to you because you have earned those things. And a part of stepping into certain versions of yourself, you start to realize that flow state is needed. I'm going to be real, especially for my entrepreneurs out there, my CEOs out there, my people who want to really just branch off and be free. You are going to have to learn how to unlock flow state, because you're going to have times where even in your business and regular life, you're going to have to mix the two. And in order for you to mix the two, you are going to have a balance. In order to have a balance, you're going to have to reach flow state. Flow state is not something that is overly extended and overly hard. I think sometimes as humans, we overcomplicate things because, like I said, we try to make things make sense, and our brain will pin things together trying to make things make sense. But in reality, when it comes to a journey like this, it does not make sense. So because of that, in order for you to reach flow state is not something that is forced. Flow state is you reminding yourself that your body will naturally do what it feels called to do. And say, for instance, you set an intention for something, you don't have to force your way into that intention. When you set an intention for something, your body automatically knows what it requires to get to that thing, because your body knows. You know. So because you know, you are naturally going to make those steps every day to do the things that you need to do. Also, use your discipline, because sometimes you are going to have days where you don't want to get up, but you are going to have to get up. Start that momentum. When you start that momentum, I promise you everything starts to fall in place and you have now reached flow state. Momentum does not start with big ass things. Sometimes we feel like momentum starts when we finally do that big thing that we were avoiding. Of course, do that big thing that you were avoiding, because that often starts a major momentum point, but you'll realize that the little things start momentum too. It's just sometimes it becomes so normalized to us we don't really see it. But you getting up and making your bed, that has started momentum, because now that you done made your bed, you went up and go brush your teeth. You didn't went to go eat, you done showered, you done did shit like that. Like, it's a pattern. And the more that you keep doing things in a sense of the way that you feel called to, in a sense of a way that it feels good to your body, you're going to naturally reach the state that you are looking for. You are naturally going to get to the places that you want to get to, because you are no longer forcing it. You cannot force your way into things and think it's going to last, because that temporary feeling is only going to last. It's going to fill a certain void that you thought that you wanted to be filled for a temporary point, because it has been forced. You want something that is long term. The people who watch videos like this, and especially if you made it to this part of the video, you are somebody who craves something long term. You are somebody who craves legacy. You are somebody who craves something that gives them the proper foundation to the point where they feel grounded within everything that they built. But in order for you to feel that, you have to accept and learn that you are going to naturally do things that you need to do. Not every day is going to be hella productive. Not every day is going to look like yesterday. Not every day is going to have all those confirmations. You're not always going to hear your guards, your guardians, your angels, God. You're not always going to hear those things, but you have to be comfortable with that. You have to be so comfortable within yourself and trust yourself so much to the point where you know that regardless, you are going to do what it is that you need to do. That is exactly why you find videos like this. This is exactly why you find people like me, because there are people like you out in this world. So I need you to understand that you are exactly where you need to be. You are doing exactly what it is that you need to do. And do not force something on yourself. It is okay, and nothing is perfect. You are not perfect, and you do not need to be perfect. You are perfect the way that you are, because you aren't perfect. That is what makes us human, okay? And just know whatever it is that you are going through in life, it will get better. It will get better. Do not hold on to the negatives. Do not hold on to what is not working, because obviously it's not working. We need to let it go and try again with this newer version, because you become newer versions of yourself as you unlock different things. And you need to relearn that version of yourself too, because it is new to you. And you have to realize that it is a choice to continue to be this way daily. It is a choice to continue to be the newer version of yourself daily. It is a choice for you to continue to be the best version of yourself daily. That is a choice that you need to make. It's up to you. You don't have to. You don't have to choose this route. You do not have to go this way, but because it's you, you chose this. Your body chose this before you even came here. So because of that, I think it's best that you just cooperate with it and just go with what your body says and just go with the flow, because that's the best thing that we can possibly do. We cannot control politics. We cannot control what is going on in the world. We cannot control another person. We cannot control other people's thoughts. We cannot control what goes on in other people's lives. We can only control us. We can barely control what the fuck goes on in our lives, because we have other things within our lives. But you can control yourself. You can control the choice that you make today. You can control what it is that you want to do today. So remind yourself that you are in control. This is your boat. This is your life. Other people do just happen to live in it, but you can choose what you want to do with that. That's exactly why free will is a thing. So I recommend that you guys just really take time to continue tapping in with yourself and reminding yourself that nothing is perfect. Not every day is going to be the same. Trials and tribulations are going to change. Pattern recognition is a thing, and sometimes you will be faced with the same patterns, but catch yourself and figure out what it is that you're missing so it doesn't happen again. And of course, realize that you're going to be met with the same patterns, but you're not going to do the same thing each time, because you've already been met with it. You're going to pass. You're going to pass the test with flying colors, because you've already dealt with it. So remind yourself that yes, some things are repetitive. Yes, some things happen over and over. Yes, some things happen often. Yes, some things are things that are wild as fuck, but we can't control that. Like I said, you can just control you. But yeah, that was today's message, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for supporting me. Thank you guys so much for showing up, because I know it is very hard to show up, and I appreciate y'all for even showing up for me, and I'm going to continue to do my best to show up for y'all, as well as making sure that I show up for myself. I love you guys so much. God loves you. You guys stay blessed, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of 100% Lavish.